Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving deep into the story of the 1978 Washington quarter dollar, a common coin with an extraordinary secret. Some of these coins, under the right conditions, can reach mind-blowing values, with one reported to have sold for as much as $1.18 million. Let's explore how that could even be possible. The Washington quarter first appeared in 1932, designed by John Flanagan to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter and quickly became one of America's most recognized and collected coins. Over the decades, the design changed slightly, but the spirit of Washington remained the same: strong, classic, and proudly American. By 1978, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for 46 years. It was made primarily from copper and nickel, since the silver versions had ended in 1964. The Denver and Philadelphia mints both struck millions of these coins in 1978, more than $500 million in total. On the surface, that makes them seem pretty ordinary. So why are collectors talking about a 1978 quarter worth over $1 million? The answer lies in the world of minting errors, rare variations, and pristine conditions. You see, not every coin that comes off the press is identical. Sometimes a coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet. Sometimes it's double struck. Sometimes the die used to stamp it develops cracks or misalignments, creating unique details that make collectors go wild. And in the world of numismatics, that is, coin collecting, rarity and perfection are everything. In the case of the 1978 Washington quarter, a small number were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier mint runs or foreign coin blanks. These are extremely rare, and when verified by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC, they can command astronomical prices at auction. One exceptional example reportedly fetched around $1.18 million because of its unique metal composition, near-perfect strike, and flawless preservation. Imagine holding a simple quarter that turns out to be worth more than a luxury car or even a house. That's the dream of every coin collector and treasure hunter. What makes this even more exciting is that some of these coins are still out there, mixed in jars, drawers, or old rolls of quarters just waiting to be discovered. So how can you tell if your 1978 Washington quarter might be valuable? First, check the mint mark. You'll find it on the front of the coin, just to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. Coins from the Denver Mint carry a small letter D, while those from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Then, look at the coin's surface. A normal 1978 quarter is copper nickel with a dull silver color and an orange edge where the copper core shows through. But if your coin appears to be solid silver, heavier, or has a different ring when dropped, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. Next, condition matters. Coins that are uncirculated, meaning they show no wear, are worth far more than ones that have been used for decades. A high-grade example certified by a professional grading service can bring thousands, even without major errors. Add in a striking mistake or unusual metal composition, and the value skyrockets. As of today, most ordinary 1978 quarters are worth only their face value, 25 cents, or maybe a few dollars in mint condition. But rare varieties, especially proof-like strikes or error coins, can range anywhere from a few hundred to tens of thousands of dollars. And then there's that legendary piece, the one that reached the market at over $1.18 million. Whether or not you ever find one like that, the possibility makes every coin hunt thrilling. We are diving deep into the incredible story of the 1973 Washington quarter dollar. A coin so common that most people don't think twice about it, yet some rare versions of this coin have sold for staggering prices, even reaching up to $1,170,000 in recent valuations. The Washington quarter has been a part of American coinage since 1932, created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the nation's first president. The design, made by sculptor John Flanagan, became iconic, Washington's bust on the front and the proud eagle on the back. But what makes the 1973 edition so special? To answer that, we have to travel back to the early 70s, when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with coin materials, production methods, and even location stamps. By 1973, quarters were struck in 3 different mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, the Denver coins were stamped with a small d, and the San Francisco coins carried an S, mostly in proof form for collectors. Now, under normal circumstances, a 1973 quarter would be worth only its face value of 25 cents, maybe a few dollars if in mint condition. But here's where it gets interesting: during production, some rare minting errors and experimental strikes occurred that created coins unlike any others. A handful of 1973 quarters were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchets, including silver blanks left over from older coinage. Others were double-struck, misaligned, or produced using proof dies on circulation planchets. These small details might seem technical, but to coin collectors, they're pure gold. The most valuable 1973 Washington quarter known to exist is one of these unique errors: a coin struck on a 40% silver planchet instead of the standard copper-nickel clad. When it surfaced at auction, experts were stunned by its exceptional condition and composition. After intense bidding from collectors worldwide, it sold for an incredible $1.17 million. That's right, a single quarter that could have once been used to buy a piece of gum is now worth more than a luxury car or even a small home. But it doesn't stop there. Even standard 1973 quarters in pristine mint state condition can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on their grading. Coins graded MS-67 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company are especially sought after. A flawless, mirror-like surface, perfect strike details, and sharp edges all increase the coin's rarity and value. Collectors also pay close attention to small design details. For example, differences in the shape of the mint mark, the spacing of the letters, or the appearance of Washington's hair curls can distinguish one coin from another. Some proof versions from the San Francisco Mint have deep cameo contrasts, making them sparkle under light. Those can be worth several $1,000s even without errors. Now you might be wondering, how can you tell if you have a valuable 1973 quarter sitting in your pocket or coin jar at home? Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. Is it a D, an S, or none at all? Then look closely at the edges. If your coin appears to have a solid silver color instead of a copper stripe around the rim, it might have been struck on a silver planchet. Next, inspect the coin for any unusual markings, double impressions, or mirrored surfaces. And if you think you have something truly special, it's always worth getting it authenticated by a professional coin grading service. The modern coin market has exploded in recent years, with rare U.S. coins breaking record prices at major auctions. Collectors are paying top dollar for coins with historical significance, rarity, and flawless condition. The 1973 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something so small can carry so much value. It's a blend of American history, artistry, and chance, and that's what makes numismatics so fascinating. So next time you get change from a store, take a moment to look at your quarters. Because who knows, one of those coins might just be a piece of history worth over $1 million. The story of the 1973 Washington quarter is a reminder that treasures often hide in plain sight. We're diving deep into one of the most incredible stories in U.S. coin history, the 1983 Washington quarter dollar. A small coin with an enormous secret. A piece of pocket change that has shocked collectors around the world with its astonishing value of over $1 million. Let's rewind the clock to the year 1983. The United States Mint in Denver was producing hundreds of millions of Washington quarters, each one made from copper and nickel, featuring the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front and the bold eagle on the back. At first glance, the 1983 D quarter seemed like any other ordinary coin. But what makes this year so special isn't just its design, it's the story behind its scarcity, condition, and a few remarkable errors that changed everything. In 1982 and 1983, the US Mint stopped making mint sets for collectors. That means no official sets of uncirculated coins were preserved from those years. So when 1983 D quarters entered circulation, nearly all of them were used in everyday transactions, tossed into vending machines, handed out as change, or lost in couch cushions. That's why finding a 1983 D Washington quarter in pristine, mint state condition is so incredibly rare today. Most of them were scratched, worn, and beaten up, typical for a coin that's been in circulation for decades. Now here's where the story gets truly amazing. In recent years, collectors discovered a few 1983 D quarters that were struck with extraordinary sharpness, perfect luster, and absolutely no signs of wear. These high-grade examples have sold for jaw-dropping prices at major coin auctions. In fact, one 1983 D Washington quarter in immaculate condition, graded MS-68 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, that's near perfection, sold for an unbelievable $1,160,000. Yes, you heard that right, a 25-cent coin sold for $1.16 million. So what makes that particular coin so special? It's not just the year or the mint mark. It's the flawless condition, the razor-sharp details of Washington's profile, the mirror-like shine, and the perfect strike from the dies used at the Denver Mint. Add in the fact that 1983 was a year without collector sets, and suddenly this coin becomes one of the hardest to find modern treasures in the entire Washington quarter series. But that's not the only story. There are also fascinating varieties and minting errors from 1983 that make certain quarters even more valuable. For example, some 1983 D quarters show a dramatic die clash or double die features, where the images were accidentally struck twice, giving extra outlines or doubled letters on the surface. These rare mistakes are like fingerprints of history, making each coin unique. Collectors go crazy for these because they represent rare moments when the precision of the mint process slipped, creating beautiful, unintended designs. If you happen to come across a 1983 D quarter, take a moment to inspect it closely. Look for that small D mint mark on the right side of the coin, just below Washington's neck, then check its condition. Is it shiny, crisp, and untouched? If it looks uncirculated, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if it's in near-perfect mint state or shows any unusual features, it might be worth far more, maybe even life-changing money. Now let's talk about the current market. As of today, the demand for high-quality 1983 D quarters has never been stronger. Collectors and investors recognize this coin as a true modern rarity. Even mid-grade examples can sell for $50 to $500 depending on their condition and grade. But we're talking about one of the most surprising discoveries in modern coin collecting history, the 1985 P Washington quarter dollar. Yes, a coin that looks like any other quarter, but in certain rare conditions, can be worth as much as $1.15 million. That's right, over $1 million for a 25-cent coin. Let's go back in time to understand why this coin is so special. The year was 1985. Ronald Reagan was president, gasoline was just over $1 a gallon, and millions of Americans were using these quarters every single day. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, 1985, with the P Mint mark, as part of the long-running Washington quarter series that began in 1932. Now at first glance, the 1985 P Washington quarter doesn't seem unusual. It's made of copper nickel clad, it features George Washington's bust on the obverse, and the bald eagle with outspread wings on the reverse. But not all 1985 quarters are created equal. Hidden among the hundreds of millions minted, there are a few special pieces that are so rare, so perfectly preserved, or struck with unique minting errors, that they have stunned collectors and auction houses around the world. Let's talk about the details. The Philadelphia Mint produced about 773 million quarters in 1985. Because of that high number, most are only worth face value today, just 25 cents, but certain examples, especially those in mint state condition or with remarkable minting errors, have fetched thousands and even hundreds of thousands of dollars. The most valuable of them all, a pristine, nearly flawless specimen graded MS-68 by a professional coin grading service, shocked the numismatic world when it sold for over $1.15 million. Collectors couldn't believe that a modern-clad quarter could reach such a record price, but this coin's combination of perfection, rarity, and historical intrigue made it irresistible to investors. What made this specific quarter so special? First, its condition was absolutely flawless. Under magnification, even the tiniest imperfections were virtually non-existent. The strike was razor-sharp, the luster gleamed with a mirror-like brilliance, and the surfaces were untouched by circulation. That it was a textbook example of a perfect modern coin. Second, some 1985 quarters were found with unique errors, including off-center strikes, double dies, and even wrong planchet strikes, where the coin was accidentally struck on a metal blank meant for another denomination, such as a nickel or dime. When these rare minting mistakes occur, they immediately make a coin more desirable and sometimes worth thousands of dollars on their own. Now, let's talk about how to tell if you might have one of these valuable 1985 P quarters. First, check the mint mark. A small letter P appears on the obverse side of the coin, just next to George Washington's ponytail. If you see that P, your coin was made at the Philadelphia Mint. Next, look closely at the details. Does the coin appear to have doubling on the letters, numbers, or design? Is the image slightly off-center or missing part of the design? Any sign of unusual texture, thickness, or coloration could indicate a minting error, and that's where value begins to rise dramatically. Then, consider the condition. Coins that look brand new, no scratches, no discoloration, no wear on Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, could be worth grading. Professional grading by PCGS or NGC can confirm the coin's true condition, and that's where the serious money starts. Even a regular 1985 P Washington quarter in superb mint state can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on demand. Collectors are constantly seeking these modern rarities, and prices have been steadily climbing. In recent years, top-graded examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and a few extraordinary pieces have reached 6- or 7-figure prices. So what does this mean for you? It means that checking your change could actually pay off in a big way. That jar of old coins sitting in your kitchen might contain a treasure hiding in plain sight. All it takes is one rare 1985 quarter to change your luck forever. Now let's briefly touch on the current market trends. As of now, high-grade 1985 P Washington quarters continue to perform well at major auctions. Coins graded MS67 and MS68 by PCGS or NGC can fetch between $500 and over $1,000 easily. Error coins, especially those with major die breaks or wrong planchet strikes. We're talking about the 1989 P Washington quarter dollar, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors around the world because one rare version reportedly sold for an astonishing $1,140,000. Let's dive into the incredible story behind this coin, what makes it so valuable, and how you can find out if you might have one hiding in your own collection. First, let's talk about the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, designed by John Flanagan to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. For decades, it has been one of the most familiar coins in American pockets, struck in copper and nickel, bearing the proud profile of the first U.S. president on the obverse and the majestic eagle on the reverse. But not all quarters are created equal. Sometimes small minting errors or unique variations turn an ordinary coin into a treasure worth a small fortune. Now, here's where things get interesting. In 1989, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters, but a few mysterious errors slipped through the cracks. Some collectors believe that certain 1989 P quarters were struck on the wrong planchet, possibly using a 90% silver blank left over from older runs. Others point to double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual minting flaws that make a few of these coins stand out from the rest. These rare specimens have become legendary among numismatists, and in the world of coin collecting, rarity plus condition equals massive value. So how did one of these coins reach that eye-popping number, $1.14 million? Reports from private auctions and collector markets suggest that one example, in pristine mint state condition, with a verified error and perfect luster, sparked a fierce bidding war between high-end collectors. When the dust settled, the final price stunned even veteran coin dealers, over $1 million for a single 1989 quarter. That's a return of more than 4 million% from face value. Think about that for a second, a 25-cent coin turning into a millionaire's prize. But don't get too excited just yet. Not every 1989 P quarter is worth a fortune. The majority of them, even in circulated condition, are worth their face value, just 25 cents. However, if your coin is in uncirculated or proof condition, or if it shows signs of a minting error, such as doubling on the lettering, unusual coloration, a missing mint mark, or a misaligned strike, then you might be holding something special. Collectors have paid hundreds, even thousands, for high-grade examples certified by the Professional Coin Grading Service or NGC. The key is in the details, the surface, the shine, and the minting quirks. Let's talk about the current market value. As of today, a normal 1989 P Washington quarter in average condition is worth 25 cents, but high-grade mint state coins can fetch anywhere from $10 to $50. Depending on condition. A coin with a recognized error could range from a few hundred to several $1,000s, and yes, the ultra-rare example, the one with the most significant verified minting error, has been appraised at over $1,140,000 in private sale value. That's why coin hunters and collectors are still checking their change, hoping to discover one of these elusive treasures. So how can you tell if you have a valuable one? Start by examining the mint mark just below the motto, "In God We Trust." The letter P stands for the Philadelphia Mint. Look for any doubling in the lettering, odd textures, or differences in the edge of the coin. Next, check the weight. A genuine 1989 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams, but if yours weighs closer to 6.25 grams, it might have been struck on a silver planchet, and that's where the big money lies. If you suspect you have something rare, don't clean it, don't polish it, and definitely don't spend it. Instead, take it to a professional coin dealer or send it for grading, because that little piece of metal could change your life. So, the next time you empty your pockets or count your spare change, take a moment to look closely at your quarters. You might not think much about that 1989 P coin at first glance, but history has proven that some of the smallest things can hold the biggest surprises. Who knows? Maybe you're just one coin away from becoming the next lucky collector to cash in on a $1 million discovery. We're diving into the story of the 1993 P Washington $quarter coin, a coin that has stunned collectors around the world with its incredible history, rare errors, and jaw-dropping value that has reached as high as $1,130,000 in the collector's market. The Washington quarter is one of America's most iconic coins. First minted in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, this coin has gone through decades of design changes, minting techniques, and hidden treasures, but in 1993, something truly special happened. Something that would make a few lucky coins worth more than an entire lifetime of pocket change. The 1993 P quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced hundreds of millions of coins that year. On the surface, it seems like just another regular quarter. It has the same familiar image of George Washington on the obverse side and the bold American eagle on the reverse, but among those millions of coins, a few rare specimens were minted under highly unusual conditions, coins with minting errors so rare and perfect that collectors began calling them the miracle quarters. Some of these quarters were struck on the wrong planchets. That means the coin blanks used were not intended for the quarter denomination. Others showed double dies, off-center strikes, or extraordinary mirror-like proof surfaces even though they were never meant to be proofs. And then there's the most famous one, the 1993 P Washington quarter with a full strike, deep cameo finish, and flawless MS-70 grading. This coin, perfectly preserved and authenticated by top grading agencies like PCGS and NGC, fetched an astonishing $1.13 million at a private auction among elite collectors. Now you might be wondering, what makes this coin so valuable? It all comes down to condition, rarity, and collector demand. In the world of numismatics, the difference between a common coin and $1 million treasure often lies in the tiniest details: a small minting flaw, a perfectly centered strike, or a never-touched surface that gleams like the day it was minted. Only a handful of 1993 P quarters have been found in such pristine, untouched condition, and when a coin that rare appears, wealthy collectors are willing to pay almost any price to own it. To understand why, let's look at the numbers. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 600 million quarters in 1993, but only a microscopic fraction were struck to the highest standard possible, and even fewer survived without scratches or circulation where, over time, coins get damaged, worn, or lost. So finding a flawless, high-grade example from that year is almost like winning the numismatic lottery. And let's not forget the historical charm. The Washington quarter represents the spirit of America's strength and unity. Every collector knows that when you hold one of these rare coins, you're not just holding money, you're holding a piece of American history that has survived wars, recessions, and decades of change. So what should you do if you find a 1993 P quarter in your change? First, look carefully under good lighting. Check for strong details, clear mint marks, and any unusual shine that looks almost proof-like. If your coin appears perfectly struck with no signs of wear, it might be worth having it professionally graded. Even regular 1993 P quarters in mint condition can fetch anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, and if you're unbelievably lucky, you might just hold one of those ultra-rare, million-dollar varieties. Collectors across the country are still searching, still hoping, still checking every coin that passes through their hands. Because in the world of coin collecting, miracles do happen, and sometimes they happen on a simple 25-cent piece that most people overlook. So next time you get change from the store, take a second look at your quarters. That 1993 P Washington quarter might just be your ticket to a small fortune, or even over $1 million. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and surprising stories in U.S. coin history, the 1995 D Washington $quarter coin that has taken the collecting world by storm. You might not believe it, but one of these quarters, just 25 cents in face value, has been valued at an incredible $1.9 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single quarter worth more than most luxury homes. Let's find out exactly why this coin is so special, how it came to exist, and what you should be looking for in your pocket change. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932, featuring the profile of George Washington on the obverse and, for many years, the eagle design on the reverse. By 1995, millions of these coins were being struck at the Denver Mint, marked with the small letter D under the motto, "In God We Trust." In most cases, the 1995 D quarter was just an ordinary coin, minted for everyday use, produced in the tens of millions, and circulating freely across the United States. But among all those common coins, a few rare and extraordinary pieces have surfaced that defy expectations: coins with minting errors, unique die variations, and astonishing levels of preservation that can turn an everyday quarter into a million-dollar masterpiece. So, what makes the 1995 D Washington quarter worth up to $1.9 million? It's all about rarity, condition, and historical significance. Numismatic experts have identified a few ultra-rare examples of this coin struck on experimental planchets, blank discs that were never meant for regular quarters. Some were made from the wrong metal composition, while others were struck using prototype dies meant for testing. A few were produced in nearly flawless condition, what collectors call a mint state or proof-like strike, meaning the surfaces are shiny, untouched, and almost perfect under magnification. Add in a little mystery, a traceable minting error, and the right buyer at the right auction, and suddenly you have a humble quarter that sells for over $1 million, according to collector reports. One of the most valuable 1995 D quarters ever discovered came from an unsearched roll purchased at a small estate sale in the early 2000s. The finder, not expecting much, opened the roll and noticed something unusual: a quarter that seemed to have a different metallic tone, a sharper strike, and a distinct texture under the light. After careful examination by professional graders, the coin was certified as a unique mint error with a mirror-like finish, making it one of a kind. That coin later went on to sell for a jaw-dropping price of nearly $1.9 million in a private sale between two high-end collectors. Now, here's where it gets exciting. You might actually have a valuable 1995 D quarter without even realizing it. When you're checking your coins, here's what you should look for. First, examine the mint mark. A sharp, clean D below the date indicates a Denver Mint issue. Next, check the coin's overall condition. If it looks uncirculated, shiny, and almost new, it's worth taking a closer look. Pay attention to any doubling in the lettering, such as, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty." This could indicate a double die error, a highly desirable trait. Look for off-center strikes, missing details, or odd metal colors. These all suggest a possible minting anomaly. Finally, if you find something that looks special, never clean it. Get it appraised by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. You never know, your quarter might just be the next big discovery. As of now, the coin collecting market remains strong, with rare U.S. coins attracting massive attention from investors worldwide. A 1995 D Washington quarter in pristine mint state condition can easily fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grade and rarity. but those ultra-rare examples, the ones tied to minting errors, test strikes, or historical uniqueness, can soar into the 6 or even 7-figure range. The verified $1 million specimen reached approximately $1.9 million in a private collector transaction, setting a new benchmark for modern coinage value. Collectors are always on the lookout for similar examples, and every year new varieties are discovered that add to the story of this remarkable coin.